Hello and welcome to the Primetime News on Mitv. I'm Stella Opara. President Bola Tinubu has returned to Abuja following a high-level state visit to Turkey, aimed at strengthening diplomatic and economic ties between the two countries. The president arrived at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at 8:55 p.m. on Saturday, and was received by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Wike, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matowalle, and other top government officials. During the visit, President Tinubu held bilateral talks in Ankara with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, focusing on cooperation in trade, investments, defense, energy, and counter-terrorism. At a joint press briefing, President Erdogan reaffirmed Turkey's commitment to boosting trade relations with Nigeria, announcing a target of $5 billion in bilateral trade volume. He also revealed plans to establish a joint economy and trade committee to drive new business opportunities and increase Turkish investments in Nigeria. President Erdogan praised President Tinubu's investment-led economic agenda and commended Nigeria's ongoing energy sector reforms, expressing confidence in collaboration between the Turkish Petroleum Corporation and Nigerian partners. President Tinubu is expected to brief key stakeholders on the outcomes of the visit in the coming days. Away from that, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has urged Nigerians to embrace unity and mutual respect across cultures and faiths as the world marks World Hijab Day 2026. In her message personally signed, themed Unity in Hijab, the First Lady described the hijab as a symbol of unity, dignity, strength, obedience, and worship for many Muslim women. She noted that Nigeria's diversity should serve as a source of unity rather than division. Senator Tinubu further called for continued peaceful coexistence and solidarity among all citizens, stressing that the nation is stronger when it respects individual choice, faith, and identity. She concluded by wishing Muslim women a happy World Hijab Day. In a separate statement, the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has called on Nigerians to strengthen unity and peaceful coexistence across religious lines as the world observes World Interfaith Harmony Week 2026. Marking the week-long event, observed from February 1 to 7, with the theme Celebrating Peace, Honoring Leaders from Prayer to Action. The First Lady urged citizens to uphold shared values that cut across all faiths, including love, peace, compassion, respect, and service to humanity. Senator Tinubu emphasized that beyond prayers, Nigeria's diverse religious beliefs should inspire meaningful dialogue, mutual understanding, and collective action toward building a more peaceful and inclusive nation. She concluded by wishing Nigerians a happy World Interfaith Harmony Week 2026. Moving on, the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives has resolved to tackle the long-standing backlog of federal audit reports, pledging to ensure the submission of the 2023, 2024, and 2025 audit report by the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. The committee lamented that persistent delays in the audit process have continued to undermine its constitutional oversight responsibilities, particularly its mandate to scrutinize public expenditure and hold ministries, departments, and agencies accountable for the use of public funds. The chairman of the committee, Bamidele Salam, disclosed this at a weekend retreat for PAC members, committee staff, and key stakeholders held in Ghana. In a statement issued on Sunday by the committee's media unit, Salam said that upon the inauguration of the current panel in 2023, the only audit report available to it was that of 2019, a situation he described as a serious accountability gap. Salam described the retreat as an avenue for stock-taking, performance evaluation, and strategic planning, noting that it enabled the committee to clearly define its priorities for the 2026 legislative year. In another story, the Lagos State government has implored members of the Lagos Country Club to sustain their resilience and collaboration with the state in building a vibrant tourism and technology sector to drive economic progress. The Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, Lagos State made the call while addressing a gathering of business leaders in Lagos. He recalled that despite the turbulence experienced in 2025, the state was able to weather the storm across various sectors of the economy. Omotosho noted that tourism emerged as one of the leading contributors to the state's internally generated revenue in the latter part of 2025, driven largely by the Dirty December festivities and other major tourist attractions. On his part, the president of the Lagos Country Club, Seyi Adeomi, stated that the club would continue to create avenues for engaging youth in positive initiatives that would contribute meaningfully to their future careers and overall development.
Today, if you talk about Lagos State, people are talking about Dirty December. They are talking about all the strides we have made together in tourism, in technology, and in so many other things. Despite all the challenges, we've been able to do all of these things. These are the things that we have in common with Lagos Country Club. Our resilience, our courage, our endurance, our can-do spirit, the ability to bounce back when people feel that, oh, this crisis is going to consume them. So I would like to say tonight that all members of this club continue to behave the way they have been behaving. They should continue to see the club as a symbol of unity, as a symbol of harmony, and as a symbol of the can-do spirit of our dear state, Lagos State.
Going forward, we are paying a lot of attention to our infrastructure and of course our programs so that we can be able to attract the next generation of leaders. For example, we are creating a section that is called the Youth and Esports section because esports has become the new football. So we want to be able to introduce that so that while our people are in the club, they can be able to play the esports and then be able to upgrade and improve their motor skills.
And it has been brought about by the collective efforts of past officers, past presidents, past. So my advice to them is we're going to build upon the legacy they met, the good legacy they met. And by God's grace, they shall succeed.
Now, the Nigerian Society of Engineers Ikeja branch has reinforced the importance of sustaining legacies as a strategy to enhance the reputation and visibility of the branch through deliberate and strategic initiatives. The chairman, NSE Ikeja branch, Engineer Noimot Moili, made the call during the branch's 33rd anniversary, Founders and Family Fun Time, noting that sustaining legacies would create more opportunities for incoming engineers to learn, relearn, and collaborate with one another. The President, Association of Consulting Engineers of Nigeria, Engineer Kunle Adebajo, stressed the need for members to collectively contribute towards sustaining the legacies laid by past and successful leaders of the profession.
One of the things I mentioned in my lecture was that
Urged governments at all levels to always involve relevant professionals in budget planning and project design, while also ensuring full implementation of the local content law by engaging more indigenous engineers in major projects. The NSE Ikeja Founders and Family Fun Time featured engaging games, social interactions, and other fun-filled activities, giving participants the opportunity to relax, network, and strengthen professional and personal bonds.
one of the things I mentioned in my lecture was that Ikeja branch is not just about the leaders. Success definitely depends on leaders, but the followership is very important. And in Ikeja, we brought that clearly to bear, that everybody puts their own efforts into whatever we do, and we lead to success. And I think the nation should learn from that as well. For the young engineers, profession, to be a good professional, requires a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifice. So I would like to suggest that the young ones should not just be preoccupied with money, not be preoccupied with position, but to go through the rigors of a profession, because eventually it will pay off.
So the training hall gives the opportunity for collaboration. Two other organizations have expressed interest and were able to collaborate beyond the shores of Nigeria. So the take home today is that sustain legacy, understand your story, know your why and how you want to sustain it, that in the years to come, when you come around also, you will be known for what you put in. So it's an opportunity, and we also create the platform to appreciate each of our farmers should bring more awareness, collaborate to do technical capacity development for the engineers in the ministry, as well as in the private sector, collaborate to give the opportunity so that local engineers have the opportunity to implement our project and we can keep our resources within Nigeria and grow the economy.
In all their things, they have to ensure that, because there is a law that is on ground, that we should make sure the local content, engineers, we need them. When we are seeing most of the construction work going on there, we are seeing external engineers coming into the country to come and do it. We have the wherewithal to deliver some of these projects. So we are calling on the government to ensure that we have our secretariat here. It's open. We open from Monday to Friday. We have our people. Let them come to us. Invite us for their program. Invite us for research purposes. We are here. Why we are engineers? Why are we going to school? Why are we professionals? It's because we want to showcase what we have in stock. But when the government is taking it out, it doesn't go well with us. So we want to encourage government to start joining us with what activity they are doing. And it's not all for politicians. Of course, there is level of politics all around. But what we are saying is that when it comes to professionalism, they should call on us engineers to come and take over what has to do with engineering field. Just as it is everywhere in other professions.
For us to be intentional in service. Branches and even the NSE are built by members serving. So I will employ the upcoming engineers, the current people taking strike, to please keep service in view and be timely. You know, the timeliness is very important. We should keep to time in getting to what we want to do and do what we want to do. By so doing, we're able to keep the flag flying and keep the legacy.
So I want to encourage every budding engineer out there, take your academics serious. Do not joke with it. Take every single course you're being taught serious. Every single course makes sense. I can sure guarantee you that all the first principles that we're being taught, many might think is just a waste of time. However, if you know how to do things from granular, you're far better off than most of the engineers out there. So believe in yourself. Don't be led down by anyone. Don't be led down by any circumstances. Keep pushing and you probably get to the pinnacle of your career.
So one of the things I mentioned in my lecture was that
Moving on, a professor of chemistry and physics, Professor Samuel Adeyemi of the Celestial Church of Christ has cautioned the federal government of Nigeria and the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, against implementing the ban on sachet alcoholic beverages and sachet water. Professor Odeyemi, who is also the General Youth Coordinator of the Celestial Church of Christ, described the packaging of alcoholic beverages in sachets as an innovation rather than a problem for the nation. The University Don warned that the implementation of the ban would lead to job losses for individuals and revenue losses for companies, a situation that could force some firms to shut down operations. The clergyman called on the government to properly identify the challenges associated with sachet packaging of alcoholic beverages and work out sustainable solutions instead of imposing an outright ban. Speaking with newsmen, Professor Odeyemi stated that alcohol is a useful invention with applications in several areas, including the production of pharmaceutical products. He noticed that advanced nations produce alcohol in large containers, sometimes as big as 50 liters, and gradually reduce them to smaller sizes, such as 1 liter, to encourage controlled and moderate usage. He therefore advised the government not to destroy industries through bans, urging authorities to avoid banning sachet water and instead encourage the affected industries to conduct further research aimed at improving their production systems.
Don't destroy industries like idea and do not ban sachet water. Instead, encourage these industries to conduct further research to improve their system. 1. Waste management. While polymeric materials are non-degradable and cause pollution, they are used and recycled successfully abroad. We should monetize the collection of these materials, turning waste management into a profitable business and creating a new culture of recycling. Regulatory support. The government should empower NAFDAC to establish laboratories in every state. These labs should focus on researching and refining locally produced food and drink items to meet international standards. Nigerian potential is far greater than what we currently see. Let us join the global movement towards development by supporting rather than falling behind and destroying our local innovation.
In another story, a tax practitioner, Olalekan Popola, has admonished Nigerians, irrespective of class, creed, or age, to key into the new tax policy, which is now mandatory for all individuals and organizations. The tax expert spoke at the Korodu Oga 2026 Lion Club District 404A3 convention, where the theme, the new laws on taxation and how they affect individuals, communities, and organizations, was extensively discussed. Popola stressed that Nigerians should not be ignorant of the new tax laws, but must be conversant with their provisions to avoid falling prey to tax administrators who may exploit ignorance for personal gain. In his remarks, the chairman, Nigerian Lions Club Foundation, Lion Hamed Olugbenga Lawal, urged members not to relent in their service, encouraging them to continue extending hands of fellowship to the needy in their various communities. The district governor, District 404A3, Lion Mary Ono, stated that the district has continued to play a significant role in impacting communities over the past 3 years of its existence. She added that the district not only gives back to society, but also focuses on building the capacity of its members to enable them play vital roles in their respective fields. Other speakers at the event highlighted the numerous benefits of being a member of the Lions Club in Nigeria.
The first problem most people have encountered has to do with adequate record keeping. They make themselves open to extortion. Because if you cannot prove your income, the tax officer can then make what we call a best of judgment assessment and say that you should have earned so much. But if you can show proof, verifiable proof, that this is what you actually earned, no tax officer can extort you. That is the first one. The second one has to do with ignorance. There is so much noise all about that if you don't have your tax identification number, you will not be allowed to access your fund in the bank. What concerns government with your money in the bank? Government is not after your money in the bank. If the government wants to know how much you have in the bank, all they do is go to a magistrate court, take an order, and your bank manager will disclose everything to them.
They should continue with the legacy of service, which is a proud one. And the legacy of service entails the spirit of serving the less privileged in the community, the spirit of giving, the spirit of contribution, not only in terms of contributions to meetings, but also the little that the Almighty God has blessed any lion with, he should be able to part with some. We have the Lions Fund International Foundation, which of course is a foundation meant for every lion. And from that foundation, grants are given out to clubs or districts all over the world. The 443 is a direct beneficiary of the recent grant of that to tackle the flood problem we had in Nigeria.
And the take home of this convention is that as a lion, you have a huge family, not just in your club, not just in your zone, not just in your region, but as a district, as a multiple district, and in fact as a member of a club with over 1.4 million members globally, all doing the same thing, serving people in need, reaching out to communities, one community at a time.
We have been able to do an amendment into our, not constitution, but our bylaw, because of an exigency of situation, which we have done today. This is one of the important, and also, apart from this, we unite together to fellowship together, to address issues that concerns the Lions Club, to evaluate what we've been able to do during the Lions years and how we can improve on our activities in the nearest future.
In another development, the district governor, Lion Mary Onu, led other distinguished lions to the 3rd District Convention of Lions International, District 404A3, Nigeria, tagged Ikorodu Oga 2026. The convention brought together lions and leos from across the district to celebrate service, leadership, and fellowship. The Ikorodu Oga gathering showcased the rich cultural heritage of the district as participants paraded in elegant traditional attires through the streets of Ikorodu before converging on the Anyogbonre Palace. Speaking at the event, District Governor Lion Mary On noted that the Ikorodu Oga 2026 convention reflects the energy, culture, and resilience of Ikorodu, while underscoring the responsibility of lions to remain driven, innovative, and people-oriented in their service to humanity. She encouraged members to actively participate in all convention activities and to continue making meaningful impacts in their various communities. The convention was rounded off with a colorful cultural display that added glamour to the celebration.
Reach out to communities and individuals in need. That's basically what we do. We go through various areas: hunger, diabetes, childhood cancer, vision, humanitarian services in general. Even disaster is one of our core areas. And we operate in clubs globally. And each club focuses on their own community so that every community is touched by our service. Unfortunately, every community in Nigeria doesn't have a Lions Club. As we speak, in our district, which covers parts of Ogun and Lagos State, we don't have clubs in Shangotedo all the way up to Ekpe. And we are looking to pull clubs there so that we're able to reach out and serve those communities regularly.
Lions Club International is a humanitarian service club, and we have been involved in so many activities. We have 8 global focus, that is ranging from diabetics, pediatric cancer, relieving the hungers, environmental services, disaster relief, which what we actually did together during the flooding that happens at Ikebede, that we committed over 23 million relief to the people in that area. That is part of what we do. Even if we go further, the best and the biggest dialysis center in West Africa is being built by the Lions International at Lut. So it's there for people to see. And so many other things that we have done. We have been involved in the eradication of polio, diabetics, reducing diabetics, and creating awareness, and all other things. So many things that we have done. Basically, where there's a need, there's the Lions in the way.
You're watching the Primetime News on MITV. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll bring you foreign news. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to foreign news. African leaders have declared a united front against the surge in terrorism and violent extremism in West Africa, warning that the region has become the global epicenter of terror attacks and that inaction is no longer an option. The resolve was contained in a joint communique issued at the end of a 2-day high-level consultative conference on regional cooperation and security, held in Accra from January 29 to 30, 2026, which was made available to the media on Sunday. According to the leaders, West Africa now records at least 8 terror attacks daily, claiming an average of 44 lives, with more than half of all global terrorism-related deaths occurring in the region. The leaders said, recognizing that the West Africa region and its immediate neighbors are connected through geography, trade routes, shared ecosystems, and communities whose livelihoods depend mainly on cross-border movements. They said the region is currently the global epicenter of terrorism and violent extremism. The international airport in Khartoum has received its first scheduled commercial flight in more than 2 years as the Sudanese government continues to assert its control over Sudan's capital city after years of fighting. The Sudan Airways flight traveled to Khartoum from the Red Sea city of Port Sudan on Sunday, carrying dozens of passengers. Reporting from near the runway where the flight had landed was described scenes of jubilation following the arrival of the plane. He said the reopening of the airport will help connect the capital to other regions in Sudan, with officials saying the facility is now ready to welcome as many as 4 flights daily. Sudan Airways said in a statement that the flight, which was announced on Saturday with ticket prices starting at $50, reflects the return of spirit and the continuation of the connection between the sons of the nation. The Sudanese military announced regaining full control of the capital from its rival, the Rapid Support Forces RSF paramilitary group, in March of last year. And last month, Sudan's army-aligned authorities moved the government's headquarters back to Khartoum from their wartime capital of Port Sudan, which has also housed the country's international airport since the early days of the war that began in April 2023. Khartoum International Airport has come under repeated attacks, including an RSF drone assault in October that Sudanese officials said was intercepted. On October 22, the airport said it had received a Badr Airlines flight, which was not pre-announced, but no further operations of commercial flights resumed until Sunday. Moving on, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a second round of trilateral talks on ending the war with Russia will take place in Abu Dhabi this week as the fate of a temporary energy ceasefire hangs in the balance. Zelensky, whose country's energy system has come under relentless attack in one of the coldest winters in years, said envoys from the United States, Russia, and Ukraine would meet in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday and Thursday. The president said on Sunday, amid continuing U.S. pressure to reach a deal with Russia after almost 4 years of war, that Ukraine is ready for a substantive discussion, and the country is interested in ensuring that the outcome brings them closer to a real and dignified end to the war. The first round of trilateral negotiations took place in late January, but appeared to make little progress on the vital question of territory. Moscow still is demanding Kyiv cede a fifth of the Donetsk region that it still controls, which Zelensky's government is refusing to do. The next round had been scheduled to take place on Sunday, but may have been delayed because of U.S.-Iran crisis. U.S. President Donald Trump, who has said he wants to be remembered as a peacemaker, has repeatedly said a deal to end the Ukraine war is close, and on Thursday announced that Russian President Vladimir Putin had agreed to stop strikes on energy targets for a week due to cold weather. And meanwhile, Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has warned the United States that any attack on his country would result in a regional war, as U.S. President Donald Trump amasses military assets in the Middle East. The 86-year-old Supreme Leader, who has held absolute power for 37 years, said at an event in downtown Tehran on Sunday that if U.S. starts a war this time, it will be a regional war. He was speaking to a large crowd of supporters gathered to mark the anniversary of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini's return to Iran from exile in France in 1979, which led to the Iranian Revolution and the flight of the U.S.-backed ruler Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Khomeini said the U.S. wants to devour Iran and its vast oil and natural gas resources, adding that what happened during the recent anti-government protests was similar to a coup, since a large number of government offices, banks, and mosques were stormed. The Supreme Leader described the deadly unrest as another sedition, a term he had previously used for the 2009 Green Movement and other such protests. In another story, polls have opened in the Costa Rica general election as the center-right populist government seeks to extend its mandate and secure control of the Legislative Assembly at a time when drug-fueled violence has gripped the country. Voting stations opened at 6 a.m. local time on Sunday and will remain open until 6 p.m., with early trains likely within hours. Laura Fernandez, President Rodrigo Chavez's protege and former chief of staff, is leading in the polls with more than 40%, enough to win outright and avoid an April 5 runoff. She has pledged to continue Chavez's tough security policies and anti-establishment message. Her closest rivals in the 20-candidate field are Alvaro Ramos, a centrist economist representing Costa Rica's oldest political party, and Claudia Doubles, an architect representing a progressive coalition and a former First Lady whose husband, Carlos Alvarado, served as president from 2018 to 2022. Both are polling in the single digits, but are seen as the two most likely to compete in a possible runoff if Fernandez falls short of 40%. Now, Venezuelan rights activist Javier Tarazona has been freed in a prisoner release, his family says, more than 4 years since he was arrested. Jose Rafael Tarazona posted on X on Sunday that after 1,675 days, 4 years and 7 months, the long-awaited day has arrived with his brother, Javier Tarazona, freed, saying one person's freedom is everyone's hope. A legal rights group, Foro Penal, said several other prisoners have been released, with Tarazona from the Helicoide detention center in Caracas. The group said it has verified more than 300 political prisoners freed since the government announced a series of releases on January 8. Venezuelan interim president Delcy Rodriguez on Friday unveiled a proposed amnesty law covering hundreds of prisoners and said the Helicoide prison, long condemned by rights groups as a site of prisoner abuse, will be transformed into a sports and social services complex. It's time now for sports news. We'll bring you details after the short break. Welcome back to the Primetime News on MITV. Now to sports news. Spanish top flight league La Liga is set to launch a talent discovery program in Lagos, Nigeria, aimed at identifying 8 young players for an elite development experience in Spain. The initiative marks the expansion of La Liga's global scouting network to Nigeria, following a successful previous phase in Japan. Speaking during a media briefing, La Liga Next Gen Draft Project Manager Xavi Zanz explained that Nigeria was selected due to its strong presence in elite European football and the depth of its untapped football talent. He noted that Nigeria's large population and youthful demographic indicate a vast pool of undiscovered players beyond those already competing at the highest level. Sands added that the core objective of the project is to secure the future of football talent across Africa, Asia, and South America by taking the game directly to communities and connecting with young players who are passionate about football. The program, now in its second year, was described as a key strategic initiative for La Liga, designed to provide young talents with a global platform to showcase their abilities, with all participants or participation costs fully covered by the league.
Nigeria has a strong culture of football, a strong passion for football. They are really good at developing players. More and more we see Nigerian players playing in Europe, in top European clubs. Also, there is a big history of Nigerian players in Spain, in La Liga, and also this is one of the reasons because we wanted to come here. La Liga wants to be part of this development process of players and also organize this project to try to make it possible for Nigerian young players to have the opportunity in the future to join some of La Liga clubs.
It's a community project because why is it a community project? Because all the teams come from different areas in Lagos, and so the different communities coming together. Even some teams came from Kano, other areas in Nigeria as well, in their community as well, supported them to come for this project. Talent is rare, so when you come to a place where there's a lot of talent, we need to find a pathway for them to be able to showcase their talent.
We are showing the world that we have talent in Nigeria, and we have talent that can fit to play in any league. La Liga, I think, is rated among the second league in the world, but I can guarantee you that with what La Liga started in Nigeria now, top players from Nigeria will be going to La Liga clubs to possibly showcase their talent. It happened in the past when we have the likes of Okuno, where we have to Muti Adepoju playing in La Liga, and that has gone down. But with this strategy now, I can guarantee you that in the nearest future, we'll be having more than 20, 30 Nigerian players playing their trade in La Liga. This is a league, not a club. So if the league is doing this for all their clubs in Spain, then I think Nigeria should look towards doing the same thing as well, because it's a way to possibly showcase the league.
Kylian Mbappe stayed calm to roll home a 100th minute penalty and grab Real Madrid a 2-1 win over 9-man Rayo Vallecano in a spicy La Liga football derby on Sunday. Los Blancos cut Barcelona's lead back to 1 point at the top of the table, a day after the Spanish champions beat Elche. Vinicius Jr. scored early for Madrid after Jude Bellingham limped off with an apparent hamstring injury. Joga de Fruta scored Rayo level early in the second half as Madrid fans showed their anger at their team. But after Rayo's passes was issued a red card, Mbappe netted from the spot at the death. Pep Chavarria was also sent out for 17th placed Rayo, who took a shaky Madrid to the wire before falling short. After the hosts' midweek defeat at Benfica, which forced them into the Champions League playoff round, the Santiago Bernabeu crowd was in an unforgiving mood. And that's the primetime news on MITV. I'm Stella Opara. Thank you for staying with us.